There are two topics that I tend to complain about frequently in my League videos. The first is how Riot has a tendency to make champion backstories a lot more contrived than they need to be, turning a character's origin into the result of random magics interacting in a bizarrely specific way to give them powers. The second is that Riot went out of their way to create a whole group of animal-human hybrids called Vastaya to explain the existence of characters like Rengar, Ari, or Wukong, but then decided that only some animal people are Vastaya, while others are their own thing entirely. So, of course, Riot just had to release a character that embodies both of these issues at once. Lillia. Released July 22nd, 2020, Lillia was conceptualized as a sort of dream guardian. Her role, allegedly, is to defend against nightmares and help the mortals of the world dream peacefully in their unconscious hours, making her a sort of antithesis to Nocturne. But we'll return to that later. So, how did a being such as Lillia come to be? Well, in Ionia, there was a sacred tree called the God Willow, which is a whole confusing plot point unto itself. Ivern's bio makes it sound as though this tree is the source of all magic in Runeterra, but that's really just a rumor that he heard. In truth, we don't actually know what the God Willow really was or what its purpose might have been. There is a theory that it might have been created by one of the world runes, the actual source of magic on most of Runeterra, but it's hard to say for sure. After the God Willow was felled, though, it released a seed that would eventually become the Dreaming Tree, another magical tree that somehow fed off of and connected the dreams of all mortal creatures on Runeterra. Does this mean that the God Willow also grew from mortal dreams? It's hard to say because, again, they never really bothered to elaborate on any of this. Anyways, the Dreaming Tree eventually has a dream of its own. However that's supposed to work. And that dream manifests as a fawn centaur girl called Lillia. Lillia then appointed herself as the caretaker of her mother tree, and studied mortals through the dreams that drifted into it. Which she can just do, I guess. She stayed in her grove doing this for an undetermined amount of time until the Noxian invasion of Ionia happens, which of course left people sleeping less than peacefully while their homes burned and their loved ones were slaughtered. Lillia watched as the Dreaming Tree grew sick as a result. She did her best to keep it alive, but to little avail. Then a bunch of random strangers entered the grove, a swordsman and a bunch of armed warriors pursuing him. The swordsman is vaguely implied to be Yasuo, but whoever these people are, they get into a fight and wind up cutting off a branch containing Lillia's unrealized dream. Wait, what does that even mean? What is Lillia's unrealized dream? Did the dream of the Dreaming Tree also have a dream that was somehow sprouting? Whatever, let's just move on. So Lillia puts all the strangers to sleep, and that causes the man who was being chased to suddenly manifest a dream of his own. Touching this dream causes Lillia's flower to bloom somehow, and then the humans wake up, conveniently forgetting what they were even doing, so they can all just leave without continuing the fight. So after all that happens, Lillia decides that she needs to set out into the world to help restore good dreams to mortals, because that will save her mother tree from dying. How does she plan to do this? By hiding just out of sight and helping their dreams be born. So I guess she's supposed to be like the Sandman from Rise of the Guardians, instilling people with good dreams while they sleep but never being seen? That seems as good an interpretation as any. Do I really even have to elaborate on why this story frustrates me so much? Lilia's entire character bio can literally be broken down to things happen because of reasons. Why does the God Willow create the dreaming tree? How does the dreaming tree have dreams of its own? Why does one of its dreams manifest as a fawn centaur? Magic. That's it. That's all the explanation and logic you're going to get. Look, I really honestly do not need every single facet of everything in a fictional world or setting explained to me. I don't mind keeping some things vague or open to interpretation. But when a story just causes events to occur without delving into the logic behind any of it, all that does is leave audiences confused. Moreover, it sets a precedent that seemingly anything can happen because there are no clear rules or boundaries in place. For all we know, the dreaming tree could spontaneously birth 100 Lilias out of nowhere one day, or get up and start walking around on its own. There's nothing to say that it can't, and given what precious little we're told about it, I'd hardly be surprised if it did. In my mind, there are two directions Riot could have gone with Lillia that would have been a significant improvement over what we have. The first option would be, of course, to just make her a Vestaya charged with guarding the Dreaming Tree. To be honest, I still don't think the Dreaming Tree itself was even necessary, since there are like a billion magical trees in Runeterra already, but at least it would tie into the fact that Ivern's bio talks about Vestaya guarding the God Willow. Why wouldn't they also try to defend its sprout? That said, the other direction Riot could have gone, and a much better one in my opinion, is to just lean fully into the idea of Lillia as a dream spirit. Forget about the magic tree that spawned her. You could just have her be an entity that wanders the spirit realm, helping mortals across Runeterra have good dreams, which is effectively what she's doing in the lore right now anyways. Now, I know that Lilia's personality is supposed to be that she's super cutesy and shy, and the fact that she's leaving her grove for the first time is a big reason for that, but you could still make her cutesy and bashful without all the dreaming tree nonsense. Here, let me give you an example. Long ago, the shy but dutiful spirit fawn known as Lillia protected the slumbering minds of mortals by keeping bad dreams at bay. Having exhausted much of her strength long ago in a clash against powerful nightmares, the spirit fawn was forced to sleep for an age. But now she has awoken to find dark dreams running rampant, and a shadow slowly encroaching over the spirit realm. To find the source of this dire threat, Lillia must gather her courage and venture into the waking world, even if it means interacting with mortals for the first time. See, not only does it keep the same basic vibe, but it also more clearly establishes what Lillia is, and even sets up a potential future encounter with Nocturne, who is such an obvious rival character for Lillia. Seriously, I cannot understand for the life of me why he's not her rival. The Demon of Nightmares was semi-recently released in Demacia and driven off by Lux in her story. They could have said that he fled to Ionia and started haunting dreams there, since so many people are traumatized by Noxus, but nope, he is still in Demacia for some reason. Look, as a writer myself, I get it. Coming up with a story from scratch is not a simple matter. Something that seems like a good idea at first might wind up being a horrible decision in hindsight, and it's easy to overlook obvious solutions or plot holes on the first draft. Sometimes you might not notice thematic parallels you set up by pure accident. Even so, it is utterly baffling to me how Lillia ended up like this. Riot had all the pieces in place to connect Lillia to the broader world of Runeterra and set up an interesting arc. Instead, they bent over backwards to try and make her something wildly new and different, even at the cost of her bio becoming an incoherent mess that barely explains anything. The fact that she wound up becoming more humanized in her design than her concept art is one thing, but I seriously cannot fathom how the story got approved for publication. But those are just my thoughts on the matter. What do you all think? Am I being too harsh on the cutesy fawn girl? Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I'll see you all next time.